O Hecate, mistress of motion, guide us through the flow of time. Find ancient roots to cosmic motion. Empower us to change, to climb. Kinetic force that drives us forward, ancestral wisdom that shapes our soul, elemental balance that keeps us grounded. Guide us, Hecate, to make us whole. Hi, welcome to Cuppa and Cards. We are kicking off episode 2 as we explore the energies of the Crossroads Oracle. So sit down, grab your tea, Rubios for me. Rubos? Yeah, you know what I mean. Grab your tea and let's sit down and chat a spell. All right, so last time we chatted, we talked about cosmic energy, we talked about solar energy, and we talked about the lunar energy, the first 3 cards of the energy suit in the Crossroads Oracle. Today we are going to talk about kinetic, ancestral, and elemental energy. So here are the cards. Let me just hold these up for you really quick to show you what we're talking about. So what we're doing is each week or each video we'll explore a different set of cards from the energy suit. And what we'll do is we'll go through each one and we'll talk about them and we'll see how they can relate to modern world. So the first thing we're going to look at is the kinetic energy card. So I'm going to hold this one up for you. Again, another beautiful card. This card's keywords are movement, change, and momentum. So kinetic energy embodies the force of movement and transformation. It represents the energy of action, progression, and momentum. This card encourages the seeker to embrace the movement in their life, pushing forward with determination and purpose. Kinetic energy symbolizes the dynamic forces that drive action and change. It represents transition from potential to actualization. So from stop to go, just to put it very simply. This encourages individuals to harness their inner energy and initiate movement to embrace transformation. So when we think about this from a ancient practices perspective, right? When we're talking about aligning the body and the spirit, we're thinking about dance and ritual and action and movement. Think about drums, right? When you listen to the drums and you can feel that energy moving through your body. This energy propels us forward. It drives us to take action and make progress in all areas of our lives. So when we think about how this might relate to Hecate, metaphorically, the concept of kinetic energy or energy in motion, as this guardian of the crossroads, she presides over all these pivotal points, right, where all these decisions are made, where the points converge and they symbolize the moment of decision and change. You know, that's that energy. That's that point where you're making that move to either go or stay, right? Hecate embodies this dynamic force, the drive, the progression, the growth, and it aligns very closely with what kinetic energy is. So overall, the kinetic energy, when you think about it, it wants you to move. It wants you to go forward. So think about that when you're looking at this card or when you pull this card. So I'm going to hold that up for you for a minute. And of course, my previewer has stopped working, so I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. And that's the kinetic energy card. And now I'm going to go to ancestral energy. Ancestral energy, the keywords for this are heritage, legacy, and guidance. So let's have a look at that card. This card represents the enduring connection to one's ancestors and the wisdom they impart. It embodies strength and guidance to those who came before us, offering insights into our current path. It invites the seeker to honor their heritage and to draw strength in that deep well of ancestral wisdom. So when we think about this card and we think about ancestral energy, when we pull this in a reading, we're going to be looking at our mothers, our fathers, our grandmothers, our great-grandmothers, our great-grandfathers, maybe even something as far back as, you know, what comes before humanity, right? So this is what this energy is going to represent. It's very similar to your ancestral altar, that ancestral energy that you would draw on to help you build up your own, I don't know, emotional fortitude, if you will. So this card it embodies the strength and guidance of those who came before us, right? It is, as it relates to Hecate, right? She's seen as the goddess of the underworld. So she has deep ties to the ancestral realm, those that have gone before us, guiding souls, right? To where they need to be, or even those lost souls that are wandering around, the restless dead, right? So the ancestral energy represents this connection that we shared with those who came before us. They have life lessons for us. They teach us where we're going. It encourages us to honor that lineage that shaped us and recognize that we carry a part of that with us, whether we want to admit it or not, right? I had slave owners in my past. I live in the rural South. You have to be an implant here to not have either slavery in some form or fashion, or slave owners in your history, in your family tree. And I am no different. I certainly had those in my family tree. We have those people behind us, and we have to decide what to do with that energy. We have to make either atonement for that energy or come to terms with what to do with that energy. It's a lot to unpack, right? There's a lot going on there that maybe you may not be ready for, right? I don't think a lot of the world is ready for some of the things that are going on, just like the people that were enslaved were not ready for that, right? But we have to step up and take that ancestral energy, bring it into us, and decide, okay, what are we going to do right now? Are we going to continue to embrace that way of thinking, or are we going to grow? Are we going to pull on that kinetic energy? Are we going to move forward with something new? Went off on a tangent there. My apologies. That is not written in the notes. So when you see them, do not be surprised that it's not there. Okay. So whether through traditions or stories or generic inheritance, this card is going to ask you to look into that wisdom and use it to empower your present and your future. So that's going to be your ancestral energy. I'm going to hold that up one more time. Okay. And then our final card for today is going to be elemental energy. So elemental energy keywords are balance, nature, and harmony. I know I've said this every single time, but one of my absolute favorite cards. That is a beautiful card. So the elemental energy card symbolizes the harmonious balance of the natural world. It represents the interplay between earth, air, fire, and water, and the energy they create when they come together. The energy encourages the seeker to find a balance and the harmony in their environment and within themselves by embracing elemental forces that guide and sustain life. So what we're talking about here, right, when we start talking about this elemental energy, you can see from the cards, I've included the colors that they represent there. We're talking about the earth, which is like solid stability. It's the material aspects of life. It's associated with endurance and strength and fertility. In the human body, the earth corresponds to the bones and the flesh, providing structure and support. It's linked to the sense of touch and considered a feminine element, embodying nurturing and grounding forces. It relates to water, which signifies fluidity and adaptability in the emotional realm. It's connected with intuition and healing and purification. Within the body, it would relate to the blood, right, that flows through our system. Water is tied to the sense of taste, and it's often viewed as cleansing, like washing away impurities. It relates to air. Air embodies movement, intellect, and communication, right? We know that it's the breath. It's associated with inspiration, freedom, the breath of life, right? And in the human body, it corresponds with that respiratory system, right? So it's where you're inhaling and exhaling, and it actually represents life, right? It's your mind, it's your power of ideas. And then finally, we have fire. And fire, as you know, represents transformation and power and energy. It connects to willpower and courage and creativity. And in the body, it's going to be represented by that metabolic pressure or body heat. Fire is associated with a sense of sight and is seen as a purifying force. So when we think about these different traditions and the way that they play into it. We can look at the Hecate herself as being associated with the elements and wielding power over the earth, sky, and sea, right? Well, there's fire, earth, air, and water there, right? We can look at it as that stability. You know, her association with the earth is that chthonic deity. And then in the Iliad, or meaning of the sea, that's her maritime role, and that's of the water. And then the being as a goddess of magic, right? She's connected to air through the speaking of spells, the magical properties that they hold. And then, of course, fire. We could always look at Brimo as being the fiery one, right? But here, her torches, we could say, is what could represent that as well. So through these associations, Hecate embodies the balance and interplay of the classical elements. So all of these elements come together to form her multifaceted nature as an integral role in nature and the supernatural worlds. So when we look at these three cards, right, these elemental cards, they offer us a vital lesson on how to navigate the forces that shape our existence, from embracing movement to change, and then the wisdom of our ancestors, you know, coming with the natural world. All of these things come together to kind of help us bring to forward these aspects of the elemental energy, or I'm sorry, of the energies of the crossroads that are, of course, elemental, right? Elemental, kinetic, and ancestral. All right, that is going to be what we have for today. These three cards, again, are part of the new suit, the energy suit in the Crossroads Oracle. If you're interested in picking up that deck, you can find it on my website at hecatebrimo.org. I hope you've enjoyed this chat today. Please leave me your comments. Let me know what you think. How are you pulling the cards? How are they working for you? I'd love to hear from you. Have a glorious day today, and I'll talk to you soon.